The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Inside a courtroom, truth feels absolute, black and white. But step outside a courtroom and the truth quickly blurs. We live in a world where lies travel so much faster than facts. A single false story can spread across the globe in minutes. And most of us don't even realise how easily we can be deceived. But the fact is that the future won't belong to those who know the most. It will belong to those who see the clearest. I know this because I've lived it. For over 2 decades as a senior crime investigator, I've sat across from people who have looked me right in the eye and lied. Some lied to protect themselves. Some lied to protect others. And some of them lied so convincingly that even the most seasoned investigators almost believed them. But deception, it's not just the work of criminals. It's part of everyday life. From the moment that we wake up in the morning, we are bombarded with information from all directions. The TV, newspapers, social media, and even people. Some of it is accurate. Some of it is distorted. And some of it is repeated second or third hand until it no longer resembles the truth at all. Think about the last headline or social media item that you saw today. Did you readily believe it? Or did you pause to question whether it's actually true? Most people don't go through life actively searching for truth. We tend to accept things at face value. We accept what feels familiar. We agree with what fits our view. And we believe what everyone else seems to believe. And when that happens on a large scale, it can look something like this. So a few months ago, a national football club announced the death of one of its former, much-loved players. And before a really important major match, they held a 2-minute silence on the pitch. Within minutes, social media flooded with condolence messages, heartbreak. Except he wasn't dead. He was, in fact, very much alive and well, and he was on his way home to watch that match live on TV. Just imagine. The football club had received incorrect information, but they didn't pause to question whether it's actually true. And the world over, people believed it, because once a seemingly credible source, i.e. the football club, had said it, we all joined in. Now, in that story, although it's shocking, no one was physically harmed or hurt in any way. But sometimes deception can affect people, and it can cause harm. Take the case of the young influencer. She had thousands of followers online. And one day she announced that she'd been diagnosed with terminal cancer. She had just months to live. Messages of support came flooding in. Then, sometime later, she told the world that she'd cured herself of the cancer through positive thinking and clean eating. She used social media to spread her message. The number of followers that she had soared thousands of people followed her advice. They went online and they bought her products and her smoothies and her cookbooks. She built a global brand and she made millions. But it turned out she never had cancer at all. Sometimes we readily believe a narrative because it gives us a sense of hope. Her story thrived because it gave people hope. And when we want to believe something badly enough, we stop asking the questions that might prove otherwise. Over the years in my career as an investigator, I learnt that the only way to separate deception from fact is to pause. It's to slow down. It's to ask better questions. And it's to look again. And that's the discipline that I call forensic curiosity. And without it, we're all far more vulnerable than we realise. So why do we fall for it? Why do smart, capable people, why do they get so easily deceived? Well, as human beings, there are three powerful forces that work against us: familiarity, emotion, and the herd effect. So familiarity. So if you've seen it before, especially a few times, the brain more readily accepts it. Think about that old saying, you repeat a lie often enough and it starts to feel like truth. How about that old claim that's all around the world believed that the Great Wall of China, it can be seen from space? Well, NASA had confirmed that that is not the case, at least not with the naked eye. But the more that was repeated in books and classrooms around the world, the more people believed it. The second reason we believe so easily is emotion. So when we feel angry or upset or hurt in some way, emotion bypasses logic and we believe what we feel. Think about those outrage headlines that you've all heard from time to time, like company bans Christmas or a school punishes a child for kindness. We get angry, we get upset, so we hit the share button and we tell other people because we want everyone to know. Only weeks later, we discover that the story was twisted somehow, or it was missing context. But by then, the belief has already spread. Emotion bypasses logic. And the third reason that we believe so easily is the herd effect. So if everyone else seems to believe it, we tend to join them because standing apart feels odd. It feels uncomfortable. We do tend to believe things that are around us, whether it's news or whether it's people, quite readily, rather than kind of trusting our own instincts. And in fact, in the herd effect, to show you an example of how that sort of plays out, there was a group of psychologists in New York in the 1960s, and they ran a really simple experiment. They hired a group of actors and they went off to a really busy street in Manhattan, and they asked one of the actors to walk down the street, stop and stare and look up at one of those high-rise buildings and just stare at a particular point. So the actor went off and he stopped and he stared up. Nothing changed, everybody carried on. They then sent in a second actor, nothing changed, then a third actor, and eventually there were 5 actors all stood there looking up at this building, just staring at it, not speaking. And slowly but surely, passers-by stopped to kind of notice and think, what is going on here? And they started to join them. One joined, then another joined. And before you knew it, there was a whole crowd of people on this really busy street in Manhattan, all looking up, staring at nothing. We are wired for shortcuts, and the truth doesn't stand a chance when speed and feeling and crowd are all against it. And this is why clarity matters so much. We need to be able to cut through the noise and see clearly so that we can live our lives and make decisions based on what's actually true. And clarity, it isn't just about the information that we consume. It's also about the way that we process it. It's about perception. We don't see the world as it really is. We all see it differently, through a kaleidoscope that's made up of things like our upbringing, our culture, our values, and our fears. That's why two people can be in exactly the same situation or be in the same meeting, but come out with completely different interpretation of what just happened. And the danger is we don't even realise that we're looking through a kaleidoscope. We think we're right. We think that our truth is the truth. And that's why so many conflicts and misunderstandings and broken relationships, they're not even sometimes about facts. They are about the way that people look at things, and they are about perception. We need to be able to train ourselves and the next generation with these skills. Otherwise, we risk raising a generation that confuses noise with knowledge or confidence with truth. But there is some good news in this. We can do something about it. We're not powerless in this. And it's the same habits that I relied on as an investigator. The first of which is to pause. So next time you see a news headline or a story that makes your heart beat fast, just stop, take a pause. Let your brain catch up with your emotions. The second thing that we can do is to ask questions. Who's saying this? Who's written it? What might they want me to believe? What evidence do they have? And quite often just the one question, which is, what if this isn't true? It can change the way that we see everything. And the third habit is to see, and that means to look again. Don't just go with your first impression of something. Look at it with fresh eyes, look again. Quite often when we look at something for the second or third time, you'll notice that you missed something the first time round, first time that you looked at it. And that's when clarity can really start to appear. Think about examples in your daily lives. You know, say if you're in a meeting and you come out with this really big idea, but your colleague just doesn't respond. Is that disinterest or is it distraction? Maybe they've got something else on their mind. Maybe they're worried about something. Or at home, maybe you've got a teenager that slams the bedroom door when you ask them to put the rubbish out. Is that rebellion? Or is it overwhelm? Or your friend that sends you a text message and it's all in capital letters. Are they actually shouting at you? Are they angry with you? Or are they maybe running for the train and they're just typing in a rush and they didn't realise it was in capitals? When we stop to pause, ask and see, we can start to move away from assumptions to clarity, from reaction to understanding, and from division to connection. We have to equip the next generation with these skills. Talk to your children differently. Don't just ask questions like, how was your day? Or how's homework? To which you're almost guaranteed the response of, fine. Ask questions. Why would you do that? What would you do if you were in charge? What questions would you ask? If they grow up really comfortable questioning and probing and reflecting, they'll grow up ready for a world where the truth won't always be obvious. In my career, my role was never to catch people out. It was to create the conditions where the truth could surface. And that's what each one of us must do. At home, at work, and in society. Because when lies travel so much faster than the truth, it's not enough to be smart. We must be forensic. And these aren't just skills that are nice to have. The very future of humanity depends on them. So, in a world of headlines, rumours, and blurred truths, Pause, ask, and see. Because the future won't belong to those who know the most. It will belong to those who see the clearest. Thank you.